Hi, everybody. My name is Courtney. First, I'll start off with kind of introducing myself, a little bit about myself, and then I have a little PowerPoint presentation prepared for you guys to kind of walk you through what fashion illustration is, how you can get inspired throughout the creative design process. And then I also have a little workshop/demonstration that we can all do together at the end to hopefully get you guys excited about fashion illustration moving forward in your pursuit into education. So like I said, my name's Courtney. I am a first-year PhD student here at Iowa State University. I actually graduated from Iowa State University with my bachelor's degree in May of 2016. And then I did 2 years of industry experience at a small local business over in Des Moines. And then I came back because I missed homework and being busy. Said nobody ever, but you know, shockingly enough, I did. And I actually came back to Iowa State to do my master's, and I graduated with my master's from Iowa State in 2020 of last year. And then I am now doing my PhD. So I guess you could say that I really like Iowa State. It's been a really great home away from home for me, and I hope that as you guys embark on your journeys and possibly even choose Iowa State, it becomes a home away from home for you as well. So a little bit about fashion illustration. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen with you guys so you can see my PowerPoint. Can everybody see that okay? Yeah, okay, awesome. So I have a really great quote from the textbook that we actually use in the fashion illustration class here at Iowa State from Steven Stifelman, and he describes fashion illustration as fashion art. And he says that fashion art is the combination of clothing which has its own life and the figure with its own life becoming one. The fashion artist can take a garment and transform it, convey a mood, set a style, or give it an attitude. So things that you can learn, things that you can expect to learn here at Iowa State University. There's 2 different fashion illustration classes if you decide to come to Iowa State that you will get to embark on as a creative design student. There's 178, which is like an introduction to fashion illustration, and then 278, which is more of a portfolio style class. So you will get to learn illustrating proper croquis proportions, accurate of what is used in the industry. You'll get to learn illustrating technical flats by hand, which is also very indicative of what would happen inside of the industry as a creative or a technical designer. You will learn how to illustrate garment silhouettes and details, rendering concepts, which is a pretty fun part of fashion illustration. And you'll actually get to learn quite a few different mediums. You'll learn marker, watercolor, colored pencil, and then how to combine them to really bring the garment and the croquis to life on the page. You'll get to explore different design product categories and target markets. So within 278, you kind of get a whole range of things that you'll get to experience in small chunks that will hopefully help guide you in what you like to what you want to pursue for your final design lines. So you'll get to do anything from couture, evening wear, ready to wear, sportswear, business wear, lingerie, swimwear, and so much more. And you also get a chance to design for women's wear, men's wear. You can do androgynous, non-gendered wear. You can do children's wear. It's quite vast, and it's a really great learning opportunity moving through the program and the class itself. Which allows you to really find your passion in design and find your own design aesthetic, what you enjoy drawing, what you enjoy designing for. And then when you find that passion and that love, it allows you to really create and curate your portfolio so that way you can help yourself and industry kind of find the right job for you when you're moving forward, because that's a very important thing as you're working through. Also, I'm gonna apologize in advance. My scrolly bar on this computer is a little touchy, so if it goes backwards and forwards a little bit, that's why. So I kind of wanna talk a little bit to you guys today about finding inspiration for design. I know a lot of times, like at Iowa State especially, students are working on projects all the time, which is super, super fun. But there's times in the semester where they might hit this creative lull, and it's really difficult to think of new innovative things to continue on their next project. So I like to kind of bring this in at the middle to end of the semester to kind of reinvigorate the creative design process for students. And I thought that it would be a really fun thing to kind of share with you as you're thinking about how you can start designing moving forward in your potential career. So you can find inspiration for design just from the world around you. Anywhere you go, anything you do, there's so much opportunity for being inspired. Nature is a huge one. If you enjoy nature walks, or if you just enjoy looking at nature from inside, like myself, because you don't like bugs, you can still feel really inspired. So I'm going to go through this part quick so we have more time for the actual drawing activity. But I just kind of wanted to include some of these like nice, aesthetically pleasing photos for you as well, so you can kind of see what I mean and hopefully even feel inspired from some of these photos as we're going through. So there's nature, all sorts of different kinds of nature. There's nature explored in depth, which is really fun and cool. So what I mean by nature explored in depth is you're looking at like all of the components that make up the natural elements. So the top example is actually one that I pulled for my portfolio creation when I studied abroad. If you go to Iowa State, you get this awesome opportunity to be able to study abroad, and your credits correlate pretty perfectly to be able to continue and still study for a semester and get all of this cultural experience as well. So I was able to take a fashion illustration portfolio class overseas and learn an entirely different method to developing design, where we were asked to choose a children's book, and I chose The Rainbow Fish. We had to break it down into abstract art scenes, and then we had to go a little bit further and like find more research. So I looked at the way that fish scales are actually structured to cut through the water, and I looked at shark scales, fish scales, different like coral reef anatomy, things like that. So you can take it a step further even and say, I really like the look of this tree, but what do I like about it? Is it the texture? Go like take a microscope to it and see if you can see something cool that sparks your creativity just a little bit more. So within that is also texture. You can find texture outside of nature, inside of nature. You could be inspired just from how smooth and sleek a laptop screen is. You could be inspired from some sort of surface that's on a floor or on a desk. There's really a lot of different cool ways to be inspired by texture as well. Color is a huge one. You can think of different cool color blockings. You can just look at something in the way that the light hits it and feel really inspired. There's also fighting for a cause. This is one that I'm kind of exploring more in depth as I've been studying as a graduate student. I focus on sustainability within apparel design. So kind of looking more at like zero waste pattern making and how I can utilize my designs to really start conversations. So there's a couple different ways to like fight for a cause. You can think about like sustainability, but you can also think about social rights, which is really cool. I've seen a few different collections at Omaha Fashion Week that talked about human sex trafficking. I've had a couple of student projects in here focus on the Black Lives Matter movement, and they actually created these really cool digital prints within their fashion illustrations. And that was really cool as well. So there's a lot that you can do for fighting with a cause to really inspire your design process as well. Architecture is a huge one. It's been inspiring design for years. It's also all around you. Anywhere that you walk or go, there's architecture because it's the buildings that we live in and walk through. It's the buildings that we see on our walks to and from different buildings. Architecture, there's really no getting away from it. It's everywhere around you, but it's really cool and you can use it as a really fun, inspiring part of your process. I always think that this photo over here on the bottom right looks like a mermaid hem to me from Bridal, like where it goes in and then it tapers out into that beautiful mermaid style. And then I actually went to an ITAA conference once where I saw a zero waste pattern that was created, and it looked very similar to this spiral staircase, and the way that she cut and manipulated the fabric was very similar to that spiral, but it also allowed her to do a zero waste approach, which was really cool. And then I just put 2 slides in here for architecture because really it's a huge one for helping you think about how you can utilize this in your design inspiration process. Fashion is also another great way to find inspiration. A lot of times starting out in fashion design, you're inspired to begin fashion design because you see something that you like or you buy something that you like, and it gets you interested in this whole beautiful world of fashion. And it's really cool because you can inspire yourself based off of what other brilliant designers are doing, but you can create something that's completely unique to you being inspired off of that. Fashion history is another huge one. So you're taking fashion, but you're going a little bit more in depth. I'm sure that you guys all kind of know that history tends to repeat itself, especially in fashion. You might see things that come back around, but they're done a little bit differently. You're taking something that's reminiscent of a historical era, but you're making it more modern for a current market. And that's a huge part of the industry. That's a huge thing that you're going to see throughout your entire time alive, but also if you decide to pursue this amazing field, you'll be able to really see that happen as you move throughout as well. Fabric manipulation is another huge one that is very inspiring to myself, and I know a lot of other young designers as well, because it gives you this visual fabric folding, pleating, smocking. You can see how the fabric is actually shaped, and it helps you kind of think about how you can do that on clothing because it's fabric. Sometimes looking at like a building, you're like, but how can I incorporate that into a fashion design? Whereas when you're looking at like the manipulation of actual fabric, sometimes it's a little easier to think about how you could see that on a human body. And that's kind of a pretty cool thing to explore as you move through the design process as well. And then there's also fabric manipulation that's outside of like manipulating the fabric by folding, pleating, smocking, darting, all of that good stuff that you'll get to learn in pattern making class, which is a really fun class as well. But you can also do print design, which is really fun. So there's digital printing, but you can also do dyeing by hand. You can do rust dyeing, embroidery. You can use laser cutting techniques. There's really this whole world of opportunity at your fingertips as a designer to really dive into and explore for this whole creative process to unfold, which is really fun. It's really fun to be a part of and to learn about as you progress through the program here at Iowa State. So wanted to give us plenty of time for the workshop side of things. I think we still have about a good 15 minutes left. So what your inspiration challenge is going to be is flowers. This is something that is huge in design. As you've probably seen, numerous designers have either done silhouettes that are reminiscent of a flower or floral motifs and patterns in print design, embroidery, things like that. It's all around you. And I thought it could be a really fun one since we're moving into spring and the flowers are finally starting to bloom, to inspire us in our design challenge today. And then really quickly, I'm going to show you one industry designer's perspective of using floral inspiration. And then I'm going to switch my screen share so that you can see what I'm actually drawing. And I'm going to have the inspiration photos pulled up as well. And then when we get to that part, you'll kind of work along with me, but more so tune me out and like watch, but create based off of what you want to create. Don't just draw. You can draw what I'm drawing, or you can just watch and follow along. But the fun part of this is getting to actually create something that's unique to you, that is fun and inspiring for you as a designer starting out. So I'm sure that you have all heard of Alexander McQueen. If you have an interest in fashion, he was one of my absolute favorite designers, and Sarah Burton has done an amazing job carrying on his legacy. But these are just a couple examples of floral being used within print design, within the actual fabric manipulation techniques, within the silhouettes, again, silhouettes, and then fabric manipulation mixed with silhouette. So there's a lot of different ways that you can incorporate some of these creative inspiration sources to play out in your designs. It doesn't have to be the silhouette. It can be, but it could also be print design. It could be some sort of cool texture that you're adding to a very basic shape of a garment. It's really up to your interpretation as a designer. And the great part about fashion illustration is that you don't necessarily have to take that extra step to think about how it all ties together in the pattern making process quite yet. It's important to understand as you progress in the field. But starting out in fashion illustration, it's really just about creating this beautiful artistic expression of a garment. That's a really fun process for you. And then you can hand it off to somebody else and say, you know, how would I actually make this work? So today, I want you to really pull into your most creative depths of your brain and think about how can I make something beautiful, and don't even think about how could actually make it come to life quite yet. That's another day's problem. Today, I just want you to really pull into that creative design part of your brain and like create something absolutely beautiful and fun. All right, so I'm gonna go ahead and switch screens really quick. Do I have any questions so far, I guess, before we jump into the actual workshop part? I always like to wait like a second just in case like somebody has one like last minute. Also, I just want you guys to know that no question is ever a bad question. As you like move through your time at any school, hopefully you choose Iowa State because it's amazing. And obviously you have some sort of interest in it since you're here. But as you move through any sort of program or education or job, no question is a bad question. And I hope nobody ever makes you feel like that because you're asking it for a reason. So I love and accept all questions. So if you have any as we work through this, go ahead and let me know. So I have a little bit of a different croquis than what you guys have. There are these things called fashionaries that you can purchase if you're interested. They're kind of cool little guys. There's smaller scale ones, but I actually have a pretty large one. And it comes with like these preset croquis in them. Obviously, I know that you guys probably don't have these at home, so I sent the behind the scenes day committee some printable versions of this so that you could work off of. So hopefully you guys kind of have some of those throughout there. And then you can also have these like larger scale ones. I'm trying to find one that doesn't have my drawings all over it. You can also find ones that have like these larger scale ones, which is the one that I traced off in pencil here. And I traced it off so you could see it a little bit better because with the light off, it gets like a little harder to see, but I have to have the light off so you can see the screen and not have a glare. Okay, cool. So we're gonna go ahead and jump into it. So this is a good time to go ahead and grab out a pencil if you don't already have one out. Grab out those printed off croquis, or if you have a fashionary that you want to work off of because you like the croquis a little bit better from that, that's okay too. I am using sketching pencils. You definitely don't have to. A mechanical pencil will also work great. As you get into the world of sketching, these are amazing because they let you kind of explore different weights of your pencil. So I'm using one that's meant for like basic linear sketching, but you can also go into like the deeper, like thicker ones that let you actually add like shading, texture, things like that. This is really dirty because I've had it for a long time and I use it a lot, but you can go like all the way up to like an 8B plus, and that lets you like add in like those really nice like shading details of a drawing versus like just linear sketching. But for today, I'm just going to use my linear sketching one. So if you have sketching pencils, I would recommend that, or you can just grab like a basic pencil and that'll work too. So we're going to go ahead and get started. I'm going to draw more so based off of this top flower. I really like the shape of it. It kind of helps inspire me. And I'm a designer that typically sticks in like the ready to wear segment. I have been branching out into the wearable arts segment a little bit more this year. It's been a lot of fun, but it's not like my main passion. My main passion is like actual things that people will wear because I can actually see them wearing them in daily life. So I'm going to kind of try to find like a nice in between where I'm drawing like a pretty gown, but it's nothing like too crazy. It's something that somebody could actually still wear. But you can go a little bit more avant-garde with this and think about how you could really like utilize the flower petals to inspire the shape and silhouette. So I'm going to start off with my skirt because I kind of know based off of looking at this that I want her waistline to fall at a pretty natural waistline. So I'm going to draw in a seam at the waist. Also, I apologize if I get a little pattern makey on this because I have been drawing for a long time, so I always think about the construction too. But like I said, kind of tune me out a little bit more at this part and design based off of like what you want to draw and what you would like to see based off of this shape. So I'm actually going to go ahead and create this pretty wrap skirt because I want it to kind of resemble some of these folding details that happen within the actual shape of the flower. So I want it to be asymmetric. I'm going to go ahead and draw my line down, and then I'm going to start folding it over on both sides. And I want it to be really structured because I'm going to add this whole big hem at the bottom to make it just a little bit more formal. So I want to keep some of that structure in there so that it can create this really stunning evening wear gown. But I'm going to go ahead and give myself a little bit of a fold detail here. I want it to kind of have like this nice gathered look coming from the waist. Again, hopefully resembling some of those details that you see with inside of the actual flower in pattern making. I don't know if you guys get to actually do a pattern making workshop, but you get to kind of learn like curved darts and folding, and pattern making too. You get to learn folding. It's also really fun. I talk about them hand in hand because a lot of times they actually do really go hand in hand with one another, especially when you're in the industry. You can be a creative designer and not think about the technical side as much, but it's better if you're a creative designer who also understands this, so you can take it to your technical design and product development team and say, I know for a fact that this will work in this design because I have had experience in the technical design realm as well, and I know that this is something that is feasible and will actually work on the human body, and that you can create a pattern for it. Also, sorry if I talk a lot. It's just part of my designing process when I do these demos. It feels really weird to just sit here in silence. So if you have any questions as we're working through this too, feel free to holler them out. So I want it to be really nicely fitted through here. Again, I'm kind of adding these like nice gathering details through. And then I'm going to come in and create her hemline. And I want it to kind of be like a little bit more of like that mermaid style. I really have been jiving with that style lately. I think it's really pretty. And I'm gonna actually make it like a tiered skirt as well. So I want it to kind of come down and around, and then still keep going down. I don't know if you guys can see this. My face bar of participants is kind of in the way. Okay, awesome. And I'm just kind of making this nice, like lovely tiered element here. Also, one thing that you'll probably notice, as most people do when they take my class, is that I am a really rough sketcher. I don't go back in and clean things up and make them pretty until the end, especially in my croquis development. So I'm so sorry if this drives you insane, but this is just kind of my process. And as you are working through this, the whole design realm, you'll kind of learn like your preferred styles too. Do you like it to be like a little bit more sketchy and artistic, or do you really like clean, flowy lines and some more like guided structure? I don't really jive with structure. I like structural elements in a real sketchy, like artistic way. Okay, so I have this nice tiered effect. It kind of reminds me a little bit of like the tiers that are happening inside of the flower. I've got this fun gathering detail. I just think that it's really pretty. And again, it brings in some of those like elements of like the layered look. And then I'm gonna go ahead and continue this asymmetric line up through the top. Again, you can start anywhere too. I just enjoy starting at the hem on some, and then I enjoy starting at the top on some. It kind of depends on where my inspiration is coming from. And then I'm gonna make this kind of like a slight off the shoulder. Also, don't be afraid. I tell my students this all the time in my actual class, don't be afraid to erase. I've been drawing for years and I erase more than most people that I know. If I can find my eraser, I just had it. I'll go ahead and use this one. It's not very good, but that's okay. But yes, that's just kind of part of design. Like you might try something and then hate it, and then you'll erase and start over, and that's okay. I'm gonna make it like a little cap sleeve because I think that those are pretty. And again, I want it to be like just really elegant and simple, nothing too crazy. And then I'm gonna add in kind of like this layered effect at the neckline too, where I'm gonna add a few different layers through here to kind of mimic the layering of the flower again. And then I'm gonna kind of create this like gathered ruffled edge along the detail that's gonna be like reminiscent of the actual edge of the flower petals. Okay. And then I'm gonna bring it back in with some really pretty curved darts at the waist. And I'm just gonna do a couple on each side of this line, because I think that curved darts are really pretty and it can kind of give this nice element as well. All right. And that is my illustration. Nothing too crazy, like I said. I like to kind of keep things a little bit more simple. I challenge you to step into the world of wearable art at least once in your life, because it's kind of fun and crazy. I can show you like a little bit of what I've been working on for my wearable art, if that'll be fun. Just to kind of show you like the crazier side of the designs that I have done. But again, you'll kind of find what you jive with when you start your design journey at Iowa State. You're going to get to experience so many different product categories, so many different target markets, and then you kind of get to, as you move forward in your time at Iowa State, you kind of get to start curating your portfolio to the things that you enjoy, the target markets that you really connect with, that you want to design for when you get to the industry, and the product categories that you want to design for when you get to the industry as well. And the more that you can focus your portfolio around that, the better your chances will be of getting those jobs that really jive with your aesthetic, that you're going to actually thrive in and want to participate in when you get into the industry. So it's really important to start thinking about early on, but just know that at Iowa State, you get to kind of explore it all, so you don't have to know right away. You'll eventually learn and find out. But yeah, so these are some of my more like wearable art design ideas that I've sketched out. Again, wearable art's kind of interesting because you can sketch this really crazy, beautiful, fun thing, and then you have to figure out how to make it and make it look like you're drawing. And that part is a little bit more challenging. So this one's inspired off of like ocean pollution and ocean waste, with like plastic corseting at the waist and macrame nets around the bottom hem. And then I have one that was based off of the Amazon rainfires, Amazon rainforest fires that have been happening, where like it kind of starts off with like this lush, beautiful rainforest concept, and then it goes into this like burnt, decrepit ashes that have been happening after the fire has done its damage. And then I've also been inspired off of like, other things as well. I don't love this one, so I'm trying not to show it. I guess it's good to show you guys too. You might have some duds, like you might start designing and be like, I really don't love that. And then it just kind of becomes a dud and you don't really come back to it much. And then I've also been doing this thing where I've been collecting pop tabs, and I've been trying to think of how I can incorporate that into a design. And I also have like a bunch of plastic waste that I got from a retail, actually where I used to work. They gave me all of their plastic and decided not to throw it away. And I'm currently working on a way to transform it into a beautiful gown. So I've been like kind of sketching out ideas for that. And then I just have like a bunch of other crazy wearable art ideas. And these just, I can't ever sit down and like be like, you know, I need to force something. It has to kind of flow naturally, where I see a picture or I feel like a certain way, and then I start designing because I'm super inspired. So yeah, that's kind of my crazy wearable art endeavors. And then I kind of can tone it down, which is where I like to live, and create something just a little bit more wearable. But yeah, that's all that I have for you guys. I hope that you enjoyed this session. Real quick before we leave, does anybody have any questions for me? Okay. Well, thanks again for giving me a half an hour of your time today, you guys. I really hope that you love Behind the Scenes Day. I got to do this when I was in high school, and it is what helped me choose Iowa State. So it's kind of cool because I'm like an Iowa Stater through and through. I hope that you all really consider Iowa State, because it has been an amazing home for me over the last few years, and I hope it can be for you too. Thanks again, guys.
Yeah, thank you so much, Courtney. For everyone that's a student on here, you can tune into our student panel at 3. And then thank you so much, Courtney.
Thank you.